Hey, how's it going? My name is Andy Monroe. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through the secret to designing event content that is both transformational and profitable. Now, before I dive in, who am I and why am I making all of these videos about live events? Well, I'm the co-founder of Bullish Events. At Bullish Events, we help high-ticket coaching and consulting companies create, fill, and monetize their live events. In the last 4 years, we've been able to generate over $10 million in direct revenue from live events. We've had over 6,400 attendees come through our in-person experiences. And out of all of those events and all of those attendees, we've been able to maintain a satisfaction score of 4.7 out of 5 across all of our events. All right, with all that being said, let's jump into the video. So, the secret to designing event content that is transformational and profitable. Well, when it comes to live events, most people have this image in their mind. So, you organize 10 to 15 speakers, everyone teaches on a super high level concept, you restrict most of the valuable stuff so that you don't spoil your offer, and then you pitch your offer. The overall event is 90% content and 10% pitching. And I've even done this before too. I did this back at Fund Launch Live, one of the events we did a few years ago for our client Fund Launch. I will say though, we didn't really do high level stuff. The content was really good, but it was mainly 90% content, 10% pitching, because that's just what was working at the time. At this event, we had 18 speakers. We had over 2,000 attendees. It was 3 days. We sold a high ticket offer, 90% content, 10% pitching, and it worked really well. We were able to generate multiple 7 figures from this event. But right now, I'm seeing a big shift in the industry. With AI becoming more and more powerful and becoming more integrated into our lives and our businesses, information just isn't as valuable and gatekept as it once was 15, 10, even 5 years ago. Now, this is just my opinion. I can't say this for sure because it hasn't happened yet, but I believe that in a few years, information alone will be completely democratized due to AI. I mean, why would you buy a course on Facebook ads if you can just have a Facebook ads agent teach you exactly how to run Facebook ads or even do it for you? Now, the AI rabbit hole is something that we could talk about for this entire video, but what exactly does this mean for coaching and consulting companies as well as the live events industry? All it means is content alone isn't going to cut it anymore. Instead, live events need to consist of the 2 following elements. First is transformation. Second is intentional networking. Let's just jump right into transformation. So before we dive in, let's actually define our terms. I decided to define transformation here as shifting from one state to another. I'm sure this isn't the exact definition that Webster would give you in the dictionary, but this is just a very high level, you could say, definition of what transformation is. Shifting from one state to another, and what needs to happen for transformation to take place. And that is implementation. At least speaking in the context of events, if somebody's going to come and attend an event, what needs to happen for them to shift from one state to another, to actually receive real results, to become a different person? There needs to be some type of implementation. I'm not making this video to say what's been done for the last 50 to 100 years is wrong. I'm just saying that something new needs to happen to achieve those same results right now. And in 2025 and beyond, if somebody wants to experience real, genuine transformation at an event, they need some help with the implementation. All right, so implementation, real work, real change, not just surface level keynote presentations. You want to get in the weeds and solve real problems within their business lives, etc. And I'm not saying that you can't have any content at your events anymore. I'm not saying you can't get up on stage and deliver a really powerful keynote presentation. You can still do that stuff. But what I would recommend, what we're doing, what I'm starting to see other people in the industry do, is you pair that content with implementation. So if you teach something, after you teach it, you want to help them actually implement it as much as you can at the event. An example of this in real life is something that we did at an event a few months ago. This event was for some high-level fund managers, and although fund managers are really good at running funds and raising capital, deploying capital, buying assets, they're amazing at that. They're usually not the best at operations or marketing. So at this event, we had an entire session on operations, how to use a CRM, how to track your investors, a lot of basic stuff that could just be solved and go high level, but fund managers just didn't really think that way. And most of the people in the room had never even used a CRM in their entire life. So what we did is we constructed an entire presentation on operations as well as how to manage a CRM. And then after that session, we actually had them work on their CRMs in real time. If they didn't, we just had them take out their notebook and start to brainstorm ideas and ways they can integrate CRMs and operations into their fund. So we delivered content, which is really important to lay the foundation of the work that's going to be done. Then we actually help them implement it into their business. So now I'm sure you can see the pairing and the relationship between content and implementation. So in summary, up until a few years ago, most events were purely just content and pitching. That being said, with how democratized information is becoming these days, when people are looking to attend events, they're looking for more. They're looking for real, genuine transformation where they move the needle in their life or their business. And the best way to do that is to lay the foundation with content and then help them out with the implementation. And if you're going to be pitching an offer at this live event, don't worry about devaluing it, because what happens when you solve one problem in their life or their business? Another problem arises. For example, these fund managers, we teach them about operations and how to use a CRM in their business. But then a problem that opens up after that is how do you actually fill the CRM with clients? Or how do you write captivating emails to send out to your newsletter? Or how do you even build a funnel inside of your CRM? These are all problems that opened up once we taught them about CRMs and Go High Level. And we just created at least 3 more problems that we can solve with our offer. So one thing that you should do for your live events is just pick a few problems, very specific problems to solve for your clients, and then position your offer as a thing that's going to solve all the other problems that they're going to experience down the road. So you'll get them from point A to point H at your event, and then your offer is going to get them from point H all the way to point Z. Okay, let's move on to intentional networking. So I know this seems a little random. We just talked about transformation, content, implementation, pitching offers. What does networking have to do with having transformation at an event and also making money at an event? Like what does networking have to do with any of this? It's actually really important, especially in 2025 and beyond. So what most event hosts do, including myself, I've made this mistake dozens of times, is we create some happy hour or some networking function that is basically just people gathering in a ballroom. There's a bartender, people get drunk, and they just talk to each other, and we call that networking. And if you break that down, even just for a few seconds, you can really tell that caters to a very specific type of attendee, and that's people that like to drink, that like to talk to people, or essentially are just extroverts. And depending on your industry, there might be more extroverts in the room than introverts, but you still want to make sure those introverts have a good experience at your event. And if you have just some happy hour or networking hour, that's going to serve the extroverts while disregarding the introverts. And these touch points really matter at events, because if somebody comes and attends your event, no matter how good your offer is, no matter how good your content is, if they have a number of bad experiences with you, your brand, and the experience of the event, that's going to keep them from buying your offer. If somebody goes and they have a bad experience with the staff at registration, and they go and they can't find water, they can't find food, they had a hard time finding the sessions, they had a bad experience with another attendee, but then they go to your happy hour networking function, they're an introvert and they don't talk to anybody, and they just stand in the corner for an hour and a half while everybody else looks like they're having a great time, and then you try to pitch them the next day, what do you think is going to happen? They're not going to buy your offer because they've been having a bad experience with you and your brand. So instead, what you want to do is intentionally design networking functions that does the heavy lifting for the attendees. You want to design networking into your event where you are taking care of all the heavy lifting. You are the one that's just putting them into groups, facilitating conversations, and actually giving them stuff to talk about, giving them problems to solve, giving them prompts to discuss with each other. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but the main point of this is just to be intentional and to take the actual job of networking and meeting people off the plates of the attendees. The extroverts won't care because they just get to talk to people, and the introverts will love you because they don't have to go up and actually engage people. And no, don't worry, this doesn't mean you have to completely eradicate happy hours from your event. We still have happy hours at almost all of our events. Are fine to have, but you want to supplement those happy hours with other intentional networking just to show the introvert attendees, just all the attendees in general, that you are being intentional about the networking, that you care about them meeting really good people and building relationships at your live events. So how does transformation and intentional networking make live events more profitable? I'm sure when you saw the headline of this video, you thought I was going to be talking about some offer strategy or some pitch strategy or sponsorships or ticket sales or something that actually directly correlates with revenue. Now, how does creating transformational experiences and networking create more profitable events? Well, it really comes down to value and trust. I'm sure you've heard this already, but in the coaching, consulting, and information industry, there's kind of a trust recession going on. And right now, consumers want to buy from people they know, like, and trust. And what's the best way to get somebody to know, like, and trust you? Get them in a room, deliver a transformational experience for them, solve real problems in their business and their lives, and introduce them to potentially lifelong business partners, friends, colleagues, or whatever it is. If you can do that for your attendees and you have the right people in the room, you'll have no problem selling your offer at your event. All right, that's all I got for you today. If you run a high-ticket coaching or consulting business and are interested in integrating live events into your business model, make sure you click the link down below. Also, if you found this video valuable, make sure you drop a like. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.